Here we go. Josh, the boss, Wagner. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How you doing,
Thank
brother?
you. I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for joining the sales arena. You've got a little bit of experience in the arena, obviously. 18, something about that number. What is it with 18? It's just, oh man, that's a nice number, isn't it?
Sounds nice. I know, but 20-0 sounds even better.
Yes, it does, sir. Yes, it does.
Has a bit of a better ring to it.
You've been on a tear.
We're coming there. We're almost there.
Like you
the last
have
fight put me top 12 in the world, top 15. So I'm number 12 in the IBF and 31 in the WBC. So it's big things are on the horizon, brother.
like it's been all business. You're just focused. That's it. You're in your zone. That's it.
Yeah, man.
And you're very humble.
Oh yeah. Well, life is life. You either remain humble or life humbles you. So I've definitely been humbled in my years.
Obviously, there's a lot of comparisons to, the sales arena, kind of the model I've done around, combat sports, boxing, MMA, all that stuff. And it's funny because I almost feel like when you're initially starting out and you're super zoned in on just being humble and focusing on the thing that you're doing, that's where we grow.
100%.
Like I almost feel like when we get to a point where if we start feeling entitled to something or like the ego steps in,
well,
it's usually
like you need a bit of an ego, especially in sales too. Yeah, every fighter has a pretty big ego, but I've learned to separate the two. So obviously when I'm in the ring or when I'm training for a fight, the mindset, I don't walk around all day every day with that intensity. I'm a very intense guy in my personal life too. My
100%.
family and my friends definitely know that. But yeah, man, when I'm dialed and in the zone, it's a different mindset you have to be in.
When you're preparing for a fight in between and okay, they come to you, Josh, all right, it's go time, right? X amount of months out or whatever is the case. To do that, like for you to prepare and like start transitioning over to fights more in the States and, the UK and stuff like that. Do you follow the same process when you're training, or is it like, I don't know, do you just...
I with the experience I have now, I put trust into my coach and my team.
Yeah.
And now that I have, a few 10-round fights under my belt, I know that if I do the things that my coach tells me to do and I follow the plan to a T, then it usually works out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very hard on myself and I just want to continue to grow and continue to get better. So even when I feel like I've hit a certain point, I always feel like, oh, I can do better. And that's the mindset I feel like I need to have to be at the top level. But yeah, I definitely things need to change. You're forever growing, so things will always be changing in my mind. Before there'd be times where I might get a bit overweight in between fights, just not eating healthy and not drinking enough water, just the little things that add up. And now I'm at a point now where that'll just hurt me. So like in between fights, I'm trying to stay as focused as I can, because I'm at a point now where 6 to 8 weeks is an ideal world, but I might get a call for 3 weeks. But the training leading up to that, to answer your question, we'll get back to what we were talking about. It's definitely, like I said, I'm a very intense guy as I am every day. But when you're in the mode, you have to keep yourself motivated. You have to wake up and do the runs. You have your coach and your team, but like, what are you going to do when no one's around? That's what really counts. And I feel like I haven't mastered that, but like, when I'm running by myself, going there, I'm taking myself to the places, because like it'll only show in the ring. You'll be exposed eventually. You can say you're doing all the work, and I've been there. I've done that too, where you're saying more than you're doing, and you end up paying the cost in the end.
Yeah, I guess that aligns up in fighting, man. It's like you can't really what's that saying? You can't fake boxing or something like that. Same in sales. Like you can't fake being good at sales. You're either good or you're not, right?
Yeah.
For you, it's been 18 in a row. And like I said, you've just been focused. I mean, everyone following you, all of your fans, like we can see every fight you go in, you're just laser focused. 18-0, like in a row for you in your mind. Do you get comfortable with winning, or is it like a non-negotiable in your mind? Like how does that work?
I think it's more leaning towards the second.
Yeah.
Like I'm a human being. When I'm training, that's what motivates me. I know there's someone out there training just as hard.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of my family and my friends, and I'm a winner. I am a very competitive guy, whether I'm boxing, whether I'm playing cards, whatever.
Like anything.
Yeah, I'm a very, very, very competitive guy.
Yeah,
it scratches that itch for that competitiveness.
Do you feel like certain people just know how to win?
Yeah, I think obviously, whether it be your upbringing or whether someone teaches you, whatever it may be, but like to have a winning mindset. I mean, I wish everyone in the world did have a winning mindset. I think it would be a good place to be. But let's be realistic. Not everyone, has that winning desire to be a winner all the time.
Yeah.
And especially in sales, I mean, for fighting, this is where they can relate big time because, if you want to be good at sales, you're going to have to be aiming for the number one spot, and vice versa for boxing. There's people that get into boxing for fun, to stay in shape. I've been doing boxing since I walked in the gym when I was 12 years old, first fight when I was 13. So I'll be 32 this year. So it's almost been 20 years of my life. And I've always just wanted to win. It's never even a thought, it obviously comes across your mind. What would it feel like? But I just throw those thoughts away. I'll do what I have to do.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I actually heard Teddy Atlas talk about this when he was covering the Usyk fight with Fury there, and he was like, and they're asking him, okay, what's Usyk's like skill? And obviously he went into certain, technical areas that he's good at, but what he said really hit me and it stood out. And he's like, well, Usyk is the guy where he always finds a way to win his entire career. That's all he's done. And he started elaborating on he'll do, and it's kind of what you answered it a certain way too. It's like you do whatever's necessary, right? It's just so interesting.
Well, and I don't sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think a big part of that is if you look at Usyk, I'm sure, I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing he has well over 150, 200 amateur fights. He was an Olympian.
Yeah, you're right.
So like that also, I didn't have that many, but I still had 60 amateur fights. I had like 8 international fights, got that experience. I truly believe that did help. I've lost before. I've felt what losing feels like. And obviously there's a bit more of a business side when you turn professional. Man, amateur experience is huge, and I'm sure it's the same with sales. You can't just walk in and become the number one salesperson the next day. It's going to take a little bit of work and a little bit of effort. I personally, even Usyk, man, any top level guy in professional, 9 out of 10 times they have a huge amateur background.
Let me ask you a question though, to jump on what you just said there. So back in your amateur career, when you did lose, right, when you did actually experience a defeat, what impact did that have on you? Like, what was going on in your mind when you had that loss?
Well, I think each one probably had a different at the different times, you know what I mean? There'd be times where I wasn't taking training seriously, and then I paid the price. So then I'd just be beating myself up, being like, oh, you can't do that. That was your own fault. You should have won that fight. Then there's fights where you work your ass off and you do every last thing that you possibly could have, and you still come up short. That happened at my first nationals. I was a young kid fighting grown men, and I still got a silver medal. But it's just an evolution thing, I think.
Yeah. I'm curious as to like when you're competing and you're in that moment and you are being tested. Let's look at some of your professional fights and you're actually being tested. What does that space look like for you? Like that place you need to go
when I'm actually in the ring, like
when you're actually in the ring and you are being tested maybe in a certain area and you got to go to that certain place, where you got to dig down. What's that? Can you even describe that? Like,
it's hard to explain because I've never been any other way. So like, I'll give you a perfect example. First thing that came to my mind was, I didn't fight for 5 years. I had a 5-year layoff. I came back. I knew everyone kind of counted me off.
When you're actually in the ring and you are being tested maybe in a certain area and you got to go to that certain place, where you got to dig down. What's that? Can you even describe that?
The way I was living, and I stopped boxing for 5 years. I was 6-0. And then when I came back, I knew I had to do something because I wasn't going to get signed by any promoters. So I went and I fought twice in a row. I fought 2 undefeated guys in their backyard. So I went to their hometown. I was B-side. I was in everyone's mind. I went there to lose. The first one was in Quebec. I was 6-0. I fought a guy 8-0 and I crushed him. And then the second I went to the States, and this is where that moment was, where I had to dig deep. And like I said, I think it just comes naturally. You either have it or you don't, in my opinion. But so I just came off a win. I had some confidence, but it wasn't enough. Oh, was it a fluke? Can you do it again? First round, I come in, the guy's a very good boxer. He clipped me with a left hook, and I remember it rung my bell. Like I fell into the ropes, and it's like I'm explaining this. It all happened within like split seconds, right? So like
that, just like boom,
it happened quick. So like boom, got hit with the shot. Didn't like look rocked, but you can tell. Like, you hear the crowd go, oh, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, the conversation in my head was like, oh shit, you can't get hit with that again. then you get knocked out, right? So, and then your adrenaline's going, and then you're still in a fight. So it's just like, I don't even have to think about it. It's just, I guess some people would fold in that moment and be like, oh, I don't want to get with that. And they'd go into shell mode.
Well, that's the difference, right? That's a big part of it.
I come firing back right away. There's no second thought where, I guess some people would get hit with those shots and be like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Whether you can teach that or not, I don't know how the answer for that, but I've never been any other way, to be honest.
I don't think you can teach that. I don't think you can. And I think that makes all the difference in the world from someone who's top in their game and someone who's not. And I think those are just little percentages that you can't really describe. I don't think you can.
Yeah. And also I think it comes down to training too. Like people see the fight, right? People see, the post on Instagram and social media stuff. They see under the lights, but they don't see the rounds where you're sparring and you get your bell rung. And you gotta, 100%. That's where you learn. That's where you're learning everything.
Yeah.
In the gym.
Yeah. I talk about that a lot in the sales arena. It's like, look, a lot of people are seeking for certain mindset things and, in the sales game, like do some deep breathing and yoga and stuff like that. And I always anchor it back to like, learn your process, man. Like practice where you need to be. Learn that process. The mindset will come. The more you sell, the more you're in a better position. It's the same in fighting.
Well, and you build confidence, right? So like
you build confidence.
Sure for fighting, and like I'm 1-0, I'm 2-0, I'm 3-0. And now
exactly.
I always thought I could do this, but then you're like, oh, I can do this. I am doing this. Oh, I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And I think it's the same thing with sales. You get your first sale, you're probably getting your car and you're fired up. You're like, I can do this. I crush this. You know what I mean? And then you're like, I want to do this again. And then when you get a no, you're not so like shut down from it because you can get 10 yeses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think your process, your skill set, just like you in boxing, something you've mastered, I think that's what you can trust that. You have faith in your process, right? Because you're putting in the work. Yeah.
And I also do believe like visual, like you were saying, the breathing and the meditating, younger me would have been, oh, that's kind of weird, but it's the older I get and the more it keeps happening, like every day things will happen where I'm like, oh, I was thinking about that yesterday, or I was talking about that. And like, I really do that manifestation in your thoughts. If you don't fake it and you truly mean it, if you're just saying something and you're not meaning it, like the universe or whatever, I think it knows. So like when you
I believe that stuff 100%.
Let's say you have, you're going out to make some sales and you have this doubt and you're feeding that doubt. I think when it comes down and you're doing your pitch or whatever, like that's going to show. If you're prepared and you can see it happening and you're going to get a yes, I truly believe that stuff works.
I think you nailed it. I think, those wins create confidence. And once you have that confidence, that's where you kind of get to the next level. Do you ever battle fear ever? Before a fight, at a fight, training for a fight?
All the time.
How do you deal with that?
I have a fight lined up. Like, you got to realize, like, maybe that there's been fights where, I told you, like, after my fights, I usually, sometimes I put on weight or I stop training as hard and stop taking it seriously.
Yeah.
It's such an emotional roller coaster because, you're training for this fight. You have a date. You're so focused. You got all this stuff going on and, you're fighting for titles and all that comes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the fear part for sure, man. Like, am I going to fail? Am I going to, what happens then? Or like, that every day probably, I think about the positive more than that. Like, I'd be lying to say I don't have fear, but I've also, when the fear comes, I try and starve it. And I try and feed the confidence more than the fear.
Do you feel like the outcome in your mind overpowers the fear, like your goal and what you're doing this for?
So what do you mean? Sorry, explain.
Like, do you feel like your goal and the outcome of what you're working towards, when that's in your mind, that can sometimes overpower your fear?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think the mastery part is to stay in that mindset even when you don't have a goal. You know what I mean?
How do you do that?
I still haven't learned it fully, but I think just consistency and discipline. Like, you're not always going to be motivated. Like, I'm not motivated every day.
Right.
And I'm at a point now where it doesn't matter if I'm motivated. Like, there's everyone in the top 10 is just as skilled, and it's down to who sacrifices more and who wants it more and who works harder.
Yeah.
Everyone's skilled now. Everyone is elite fighter where I'm at now. So it comes down to the little.
That's where it's like like everyone is so elite level. It's like to be at the top. It's like the matter of like who that little percentage or that little thing. So yeah, I guess having a can of Coke or a pizza, or like you think about that.
You just took the words out. I'm like, even just having no sugar in my coffee and like just tiny things, you know what I mean? But like I said, that's, you know, I'm not a master of that. Like I'd be lying to say that. Like, you know, there's still times where, you know, I'm eating like shit, but then I pay the price for it. You know, I'm the one that has to go burn that off and feel like ass for a couple of days, right? So it's still it's a process, man. And I think to be great, you those are the things you have to be willing
100%. For you, what does your overall goal look like for you? Like, say you continue to pile up these wins and you elevate your status and you continue your process. What's your main goal here?
So my main goal, so I'll be 32 in October. You know, I don't want to be fighting past like 36, 37 max. Okay. You know, I'm not going to let the sport retire me. I'm going to leave the sport on my terms.
Nice.
So, you know, I still got 5 good years left, 5-6 years left.
Yeah.
You know, my main goal is to fight for a world title, win a world title. Obviously, I want to make, you know, money, and I want to make a good enough money where I can start a business and live off my business. That's my goal, man. I just want to live a happy life and start a family and start a business. That's the goal, buddy.
Let's say you continue the process, you hit that title, you win all that money, that level status money. What would you do with that money? What business would you start?
So my girlfriend has a business degree. She runs a golf course. Her parents own a golf course. So she's very, very business minded. And she's way smarter in that aspect than I am. So I'm definitely got to level up in that aspect. Yeah. We just started an Airbnb. So like I'm slowly learning.
Nice.
Yeah. So like we are getting our toes wet, but honestly, I think she wants to own like a charcuterie wine, you know, and me, I always wanted to start a boxing gym, and, you know, cause growing up, that's the reason why I am where I'm at, is because the first boxing gym. I have it tattooed on me, like it's forever. It's not even around anymore, but forever be a part of my life. So, you know, and I always used to say that in all interviews. I'd be like, oh, like, what do you want to do after boxing? And I used to always say, oh, I want to start a gym.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. I think because the town, I'm from a small town just north of Toronto, and there's like one other gym, but like it's starving for a real authentic boxing gym. So, I mean, I wouldn't count it out, but honestly, man, I think I'd be open to a lot of things, you know, as long as.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, especially a boxing environment, man. Like I've had this conversation before. It's like there's something, because we have a boxing club up here. You've in Collingwood Shipyards, right?
So Jay Alexander, he's the owner of the club, and we started at big time. Like we started. That's where we met. He's seen me. Have you talked to him before or no?
Oh, Jay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's my coach. Yeah. I go there.
Oh, okay. So tell him I was on the show. That guy. Yeah, I've known him for a long time. He's a really solid guy.
That's interesting, because, you know, he even mentioned that, like, through the creation of Big Time, like there's so many world champions that came out of that. There's so much good talent that came out of that club. And it's like, and I always tell people this all the time. It's like, with all the crap going around in the world today, like everyone should operate the way people do in a boxing club. In a boxing club, there's no judgment, there's no ego, there's no, you know what I mean? It's like
even fight night, man. Like, I tell all my family and friends, like, it's the type of event where if you want to get dolled up to the nines and, you know, look like spiffy 100%, go for it. If you want to wear track pants and sandals, go for it. Like boxing, it's, and same as you said, when you walk into a gym, trust me, growing up, I have an older brother. I have taken my ass whoopings. I've been in the ring crying, sobbing like you know, and those are the moments that you don't forget, you know.
Something special. I don't know what it is with boxing gyms, you know what I mean? It's just something that grounds me every time I walk in there. So anyway,
even now, I've been doing it 20 years. The day it gets bored, or the day I don't really want to do it anymore, like I said, I'll do it on my terms. I love boxing. It's saved my life, literally. Yeah. And it continues to fill me up. You know what I mean? I leave the gym if I'm having a bad day or bad week or bad month, whatever. If I start just going to the gym consistently, whenever I leave the gym, I am smiling ear to ear. My girlfriend sees it. Everyone sees it. My boxing it's just it's there. It's in me. I think I was destined to do this. Yeah. And I'm just getting started, man. 18-0. The party's just getting started, buddy.
Yeah, it is. And we're all watching. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not without you guys, you know, without a following, it's hard to get anywhere. So I appreciate all my fans. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, brother.
when I get the world title, we'll have to come back on and do it
Yes,
again.
yes, and you have to bring it on the sales arena.
Oh, I do have my belt. I do. If you want me to show the belt, I can.
I would absolutely freaking love for you to show the belt right now.
Okay. Do you want me to show the first one that I got and explain the fight? And do you want me to explain them or just show them?
Just show them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just show us all the belts, Josh, please.
Hey, give me 2 seconds.
Okay. All right, brother.
All right. So this title here, it was my first title I ever won. It's an IBA international title, or sorry, intercontinental title.
Wow.
I'll explain the belts as I go. So the IBA, there's different sanctions in boxing. Like the way I try to explain it, so people like, you know, UFC, MMA has UFC, Bellator, Strike Force or whatever. Like those are different sanctions. Yeah. It's similar with boxing. There's 4 main ones. This one wasn't a part of the main 4. So like I tell all my fans, like, it's my first title. It means a lot to me. Like it's a 10-round fight. I fought a very game opponent, durable guy, 13-2. It was a hard fight. But
was that your first 10-rounder?
First 10-rounder, yes. And so
wow.
it was a big deal. But the people in the boxing world don't give this belt much respect. It's just De La Hoya had it, some big names had it, but it's not one of the main sanctions, so it doesn't get the respect it quite deserves, but still means world to me. Okay.
Awesome.
The second one, it's an IBO Americas title. And like I said, the four main sanctions, this is like the one outside of it that like almost has the respect. So like I'm kind of explaining it so you actually understand.
Yeah.
So it still means a lot. I still fought a 10-round fight, a good opponent, but still not quite, you know, the respect. Now for the one I just fought for a month ago. Yeah. Oh, so this one here, it's the IBF international title. And this is my baby. So like this one to me trumps those other two, because this one now it put me. I'm number 12 in the IBF. Once you're ranked in one sanction, it's so much easier to get recognized by the other sanctions. Chip. Yeah. Sorry, man. Sorry, my.
And most people recognize IBF.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So like most people recognize IBF.
Yeah. So now when people go online, they look up the IBF rankings. Like I'm right there. So like so we'll probably do 1 or 2 title defenses, whatever my team and I, decide to do. Yeah. But my name's there. It's on the list, and this is why I need to be ready. Because like for instance, fights get dropped out, someone gets hurt, someone gets cut. They're gonna go down the list and see, okay, who wants to fight, who's ready.
So would you say with that more people are going to be looking for coming at you now? Like you'll get more. Yeah. Okay.
100%. And that's what I want. I want
that's what you want. You just come on, line them up.
Before like the past couple of years when I was doing 6 and 8 round fights, there was a year where I fought almost 8 times in 1 year. Yeah. Now that I'm fighting these bigger fights, it'll probably be 3-4 fights max a year, sometimes maybe 2, depending on how the fight goes, the size of the fight and all that. Yeah. But yeah, man, I was there 2 years ago where I'm like, okay, I'll fight anyone. Let's fight every month. Now I still have that mindset. Yeah. And I want to fight every month, every 2 months. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've never been dropped. I've never been knocked out. I have a lot left in me. But yeah, man, I'm excited.
Yeah. Did anything change personally when you won that belt?
This is where like the mindset and the visualization, I already felt what it felt like to be the champ. Like I already put myself, how am I going to feel when I get the belt and I raise it over my hand? How am I going to feel the week after when I'm going to all my sponsors and my friends and my family? So like, how did it feel? It felt like, I've been ready for this. So it wasn't a shock. Like, I'm grateful and I'm blessed and I remain humble and I'm not a cocky guy at all. Yeah. I try my best to not be, but am I super proud of myself and pumped and just hungry for even more? You know what I mean? I want bigger titles, better titles, because it's this is addicting, man.
What advice would you give someone, let's say in sales? Okay. Let's take your mentality where you're at to get to where you are, right? Because where you are right now is the elite level. There's a reason there's a small percentage of humans walking around on earth, not in there's a small percentage of people that can make it there. What advice would you give any salespeople that want to become among the elite in what they do? If you had to break it down, what would that look like?
Honestly, in a few different sentences or words, it would be like we talked about fear. I think fear can put a halt to a lot of people's progress. So, I mean,
it's a big one.
Start with the fear, be confident, but remain humble, because some people take confidence for cockiness. Yeah. Be yourself, be authentic, work harder than anyone, be consistent. And one that I still struggle with, like I said, I'm still human. Like it doesn't matter if you're motivated, disciplined. You have to be disciplined or it will catch up to you. And if you stay disciplined, you usually get what you want.
I love that.
You may not get it first time, but like just, work hard, be kind, be humble, and just don't let your fear get in the way, man.
Yeah. Fear's a big one for sure for all of us.
And self-belief. I know there's a lot here, but like, don't just look in the world and say, I'm going to do this. Like, look look in the mirror and legit mean it, even if you have that doubt, it's gonna come. But like,
I think that's where it starts too, right? You having that belief, it's, you know, and that kind of grows from there, in my opinion. But no, man, Josh, thank you so much. You've been amazing. We appreciate you jumping on here. We look forward to watching you, following you. We're going to show a lot of your highlights in this video. This video is probably going to be aired like next week, but no, man, you've been amazing. What you've accomplished and what you're working towards is pretty freaking special, and you're getting everyone's attention, just so you know. I know a lot of times you may be in the day-to-day and not realizing that, but you're making your heads are turning, man, and they're turning for a reason.
I really appreciate it, bro. It means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. And another thing too is just to come back to the sales and the boxing. It just came to my mind. So like my sister's in sales, my brother's in sales. So I am surrounded by sales. I told you I want to start a business after. There is a lot of similarities in sales and fighting.
Right.
A lot, man. Like
crazy.
And I think it comes down to, like, in sales, if you even about, obviously you want product knowledge, you want to know what you're selling. So that's a big part. But I think if you can get someone to like you, and that's why I think being authentic, not, you know, you ever been seeing a sales guy and you can like, oh, this guy's kind of fake. But if you get someone, just be yourself. And I think people appreciate that authenticity, you know?
I think what you just said there is one of the strongest foundations to any sales skill, is being authentic and being real. Putting the script down and actually being there in the moment with someone. I think you nailed it.
If you can get to a point where you're not even talking about what you're selling, you're going to probably get the sale.
Yeah. That's why I think maybe after your boxing career, who knows, maybe you might look at sales, because I think you would do pretty good at it, but who knows?
Oh yeah. My family, they always say I should be getting into sales, but I just, right now I'm focused on boxing and just.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You got work to do, and it's amazing, and you're doing it. So thank you so much, Josh. Like, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, man. Good luck with everything. Keep going. And I know you're going to be very successful with what you're doing. So
thank you, brother. Thank you for having me on the show. I wish you all the best. And if you want tickets to my next fight, just hit me up and I got you, brother.
Oh, we're there.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, brother.